Good afternoon. Welcome to SMTV. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Brandy Powers.
Now, here's what I like about the news today, Brandy, is that it's kind of, we've got the opposite effect going on. And what's interesting is that these two Facebook stories seem to contradict each other a little bit. One is about the falling Facebook stock price, unfortunately.
Under $20.
Under $20, but the other one is about more people using Facebook to search for jobs. So it seems weird that we would see both of these. It's not popular, but yet it is popular.
Right, and I guess any news is good news. So
I guess so. Yeah, we're still talking about it.
What do you think?
You know, Mashable has this chart of the since the open of the whole stock price history from June all the way till now, and it's just sad looking.
Yes,
it's just not.
It's tanking. It's not trending
not
well at all.
Not what we wanted to see. No.
And what they think is sparking this particular article is the Bloomberg report.
Right. Because it was a negative report based on what they think was false information from Facebook marketing. Facebook has since refuted those claims.
Right.
They've changed their position, saying we acknowledge our information is not from Nielsen, which is what Bloomberg said. But it'll be interesting to see how Bloomberg turns this around now that Facebook has acknowledged where their information is actually coming from.
And if they're going to turn it around.
And if they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, because they might not even come back and say anything. And then I'd also be interested to see how Facebook reacts to the information as well. You know, if they're going to put out a statement or change their numbers up a little bit, or just, you know, redo the report.
Right, and where does this price go from here? So now we kind of fluctuated. It was a little under 20, and then it closed just above 20, like 2023, I think.
Right, 2023.
Where is it going to keep dropping from here? This is already half the price of the open.
Hopefully not. I mean, Facebook's got to come up with something to get this stock number higher, and negative reports based on false advertising numbers is just, it's not helping.
No, not at all.
They've got to come up with something big.
They do, and it seems like a contradiction to our other story, which is that more and more people are turning to social media for job seeking, and Facebook is still at the top of this list, which is interesting because we always talk about LinkedIn, of course, as the social
premier networking place,
professional network, exactly. But Facebook, for a long time, I think because it's just the size of Facebook, a billion users now,
and it's where we started.
And it's where we started, exactly. So people are still there, still reaching out to their connections, their friends to try to find jobs.
People are just more comfortable.
Absolutely.
There.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and what was the numbers? 25% last year added you know, job-specific information to their Facebook page?
Right, 25% added to the Facebook, 26% added to their LinkedIn information. Everywhere these numbers are up, which is really interesting because we don't see the other piece of the digital job-seeking pie, which in my mind are places like Monster,
Hot Jobs, Jobs.com, right.
We don't really get that slice of the picture and how those sites are doing compared to all these numbers on upward trending numbers on social media.
Right, but I think it's sufficient to say that if you want to network and get a new job, you should probably stay at home and do it in your pajamas instead of going to a networking event and, you know,
that's what it sounded like. Absolutely, that's what I would prefer to do.
Me too.
We're here to help you out with your social media campaigns or answer any questions that you may have.
You can email us your questions to questions@splashmediau.com, or you can tweet us by using hashtag SMTVQuestions.
So let's take some questions from our viewers. Sasha has a LinkedIn question for us. Sasha says, I'm starting a new job next week, speaking of recruiting on LinkedIn. How should I update my LinkedIn profile?
Awesome question, Sasha. My top 3 ways to update your LinkedIn profile would be this. Number 1, get an updated photo. If you have a photo that's on your LinkedIn page that's from 10 years ago, you might want to update it so people know who they're looking for. Something else to keep in mind is use your actual name. We're talking about LinkedIn here. We're not talking about Facebook or even MySpace or Twitter. You want to have your first and your last names very specific to how it would be on your resume. Don't use a name that people refer to you as sometime in a social setting. And my last piece of advice for an immediate update to your LinkedIn profile would be to update your headline. Headline is very important. This is something that should spark conversation, spark intrigue. It's something that you also want to be searched for. So you want to add some key terms in there, some SEO qualities in your headline to make sure that people are finding you for what you want to be found for. Those are my top 3. Anything?
I love those. No, I think that's perfect, especially when you mention key phrases, because that applies everywhere we are on social media.
Right.
Making sure that it sounds good, of course, it's got to be readable, it's got to make sense, but to have those terms that people are actually looking for when they're looking for someone to fill the position that they may have open to their company, might type in on Google a search for whatever that position is.
Right.
Include that in your LinkedIn profile in either the in your heading if it's something general,
right,
or also in the descriptions of each job you had.
Right.
Good to go ahead and go back and fill those out. Make sure you list all of your responsibilities and everything that you contributed to that individual position.
Yeah, and then one more that might be good is put a recommendation. Like if you're transitioning from one job to another, especially in a different company, you might want to go ahead and get a recommendation from the company that you're leaving as you progress to your new role.
Great idea, as long as you weren't fired.
Yes, as long as you weren't
fired. As long
fired.
as you left on good terms.
Right, and
those recommendations are fantastic.
And the referral is credible.
Exactly,
right.
Yeah, good point.
Jill wrote to us and asked, when should I send automated direct messages on Twitter?
I would say rarely, and the reason is because direct messages tend to look salesy and spammy. Because it typically, I know you've seen these too, Brandy.
Right.
It looks like thanks for following, view our videos, or thanks for following, fill out our form.
Not good.
And it just seems so spammy.
Yeah, it's like they're bombarding you.
Exactly.
And that might not have been the way that I was addressing you in the first place. I might not want your free ebook or your to watch your
maybe
video.
that's not why you're reaching out to them.
Right.
But I would say there are certain cases where it can be very helpful. One case could be if you have a promo or some sort of campaign that's running for a short amount of time, where let's say the next 100 followers on Twitter are going to get a coupon for one of your products. That's a great way to instantly send something back to your followers saying, thanks for following, here's your coupon. And then turn it off when your promo's over.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Angie wants to know, should my company respond to occasional negative comments that are posted on our Facebook page?
Very, very good question.
Yeah.
It seems like we've visited this a few times this week, and to sum it up in one word, the answer is yes. Absolutely. You want to respond to any feedback that you're getting on social, but most importantly, negative feedback. If you don't reply or you don't respond, it could get elevated, it could grow. There are people out there that are just negative and want to stir up trouble for your community, for your followers, for your fans. So you always want to make sure that you address negative comment. And something to note, especially if you're a moderately larger size organization, you want to have a protocol set up. You want to have checks and balances or response ways that your company is going to handle a response to a negative situation on social, whether it be Yelp, LinkedIn, Facebook, your page, anything that you have out there for social. You want to have a protocol of how you're going to handle the situation.
Perfect. That way you're prepared. It doesn't catch you by surprise.
Right.
You know, the one word of caution that I would add to when you're responding to these negative comments, which you should absolutely do so you can show what great customer service you have, is to watch out for things like abuse, foul language, any type of bullying. That is where you want to just block that comment or delete it, because that you don't want to stoop to their level, basically.
Absolutely not. Very, very good point.
Yeah.
Chelsea wrote in to us and asked, how does video help the search engines find me better?
Two main ways that having video out there on the internet is going to help you. One of those is that having video on your site or on your blog shows that you have relevant, fresh content. It's dynamic. You've got multimedia there, which is much more interesting for viewers and visitors to your content, which means the search engines are going to value it at a higher level.
Right.
I think the other reason is just because it's out there in more places.
Yeah.
If you can get your video on YouTube and Vimeo and Metacafe and on your blog
Social
and on Facebook.
Cam.
Exactly.
Yes, more places to be found, the better.
Absolutely. That's all the time we have today. Thanks for continuing to support SMTV by joining us every day. For Splash Media, I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Brandy Powers. Thank you for watching.